we are going to explore some of the Google Cloud services like Google Cloud VM and persistent disks. So what are we going to do is we will create a new VM and we will attach a new disk as data disks. So normally when we create the VM, we will by default it will get only OS disks. If we want some additional data disks, so we have to create it separately. So we will create a new disk for the VM. It will be our data disk, and we will mount the disk to the directory. So we will create a directory and we will mount the newly created disk to that directory, and then we will explore by writing some data to that disk, and we will reboot the machine. So after rebooting we can understand that the mount point what we mounted it vanish after the reboot, or it unmounted automatically. So now what we will do, we will make some entries in the fstab to make that mounting permanent. So these are the things we are going to explore. So let's jump into the lab. So I'm going to create one instance now. So let me give the name as persistent disk testing. So when I am creating the VM, I am not going to add any additional disks. So by default it will create the disks only with it will create the VM only with OS disk. So you can see that a VM is created, and this VM have only OS disk attached to it. You can see there is one persistent disk of 10 GB. This is where the operating system is running. So now what I am going to do is I am going to create a new disk. Click on add new disk. I will give the name as data disk. So in the category you can see there are multiple options: balanced persistent disk, extreme persistent disk, SSD persistent disk, and standard persistent disk. So it different types of our workloads, different type of workload we can select the disks. So maybe for the extreme performance it will be SAP HANA, or based on different tiers we can select that option. So what I am going to do is I am just saving the configuration and again saving. So what we did now is we attached a new disk, and this is our data disk. You can see that the task is still running here. So now we can see that it added the new disk. We can go and verify again. Click on the VM instance. click on the VM and let's go down. You can see an additional disk of 100 GB size is created with the name of data disk 1. So now let me go back to the VM instance tab. Let me click on SSH. So now if you type lsblk command, we can see the disks present in this machine. So we have SDA and SDB as two disks. So if you see SDB, that is 100 GB, this is our new disk created. So if you see df-h, we can see that it's just disk is created, but it's not mounted to any directory because you cannot see that entry here. So now what we will do, first we will format the partition. First we will format the disk using this command. I'm copying this command. And from the previous thing we can see that our device name is SDB. So I'm just entering the command what I copied. I'm just opening the documentation once again. So this command got erased from my notes. Let me paste it again. So this command is using to format the newly created disk. So let me copy that command. Let me paste it once again. Sudo mkfs ext4 device name, right? So here we have to give our device name and it is SDB. You can see that it is SDB that. So it's just formatting. It just formatted the disk and created the file system. Now what we will do, we will create a directory. We will create a directory on this path. We will create a directory in the name of data-disk, and at this path we will create the mount point. We will create the directory. So I'm going to run this command, and in this example, so I created the path in mnt disks and data disk. So I'm going to copy the command. Yeah, it is done. So now the directory got created. Now we have to mount our disk to the created directory. So this is the command to do that. I'm copying that command. My directory name is data-disk, and my device name is SDB. So now the directory is mounted to the SDB disk. So now let us see df-h. If you type df-h, we can see that the disk device SDB is mounted to this directory. Let us create one file now. That's the next step. So before creating the data, what we have to do is we have to give some permission to that directory. So let me copy this command. So only change the let me repaste the command. So it given the read write permission to that MNT disks data disk directory. So now let me check which directory I am in. So I am into my home folder. So let me create one data file. This is my data disk file. So now I did a mistake, so we have to go to this path. Now here you create data, this is a data disk file. Okay, so now we created a file inside the new directory or mount point. This is the new mount point. Yeah, so now what we will do, we will just try to open that file. Yeah, we have that file. So now what we are going to do now is, so we have completed all these steps. So we created a new disk, we created a new disk, we then formatted it, we then created a directory with the name of data-disk, and then we mounted that directory to our new disk /dev/sdb. Then we are able to see the newly created mount point. Then we given the read write permission to the data-disk mount point or directory. We are able to write the content now. So now what I am going to do is, I am going to reboot this machine. closing this window. Yeah, looks it got rebooted. Our VMs came up. Now what we are going to do is we will take the SSH session to that machine once again. If you type lsblk, we can see that STB, that device disk, it's already there. And now let me type df-h. We can see that the mount point data-disk got disappeared, or it got unmounted from our Linux machine. So it was not permanent, the mount was not permanent. So after the reboot, the mount point got unmounted. So whichever we mounted, it does not exist at this moment. So after the reboot, it got unmounted, right? So how we will do permanently mount this to the Linux machine? So in Linux, everything it's based on UUID. So we have to get the UUID of our SDB device and then make an fstab entry to the data-disk. So that's what we are going to perform now. So before perform, these are the main steps. So in the first step, what we are doing is it's taking the fstab backup. It's taking the fstab file backup. Why we are taking it? Because if it is a production system or somewhat critical system, we have to first move that file to a backup file. I mean, it has to be backed up basically. Then I am not going to do that step here because it's a non-critical machine, it's our test machine, right? So I am directly going to perform the second step. In second step, what we are going to do is we are trying to get the device ID of the Linux machine. So I am going to run that command. So here there is a change, right? Our device name is SDB, because you can see that from the lsblk command. SDB is our device name. I'm entering it. So here we got our UUID. Just note down the UUID. Paste that UUID in the third step. Yeah. Copy that third command. It's not a command, it's an entry. Sorry. So now what we have to do is we have to open the file of fstab, etc fstab. So you can see there are already 2 entries. So what I am going to do is I am going to make a third entry. Here everything is okay. Mount disk, right? So the mount disk we have to change it, right? So here mount directory you have to change into data hyphen disk, and then mount option, because this one of how it is handling the failure, so that is what mount ifan option. So here we have to change into no fail. No fail. I am going to save this file. Okay, I'm just quitting it without saving it, because the thing is, as it is an operating system file, we have to add sudo command, then only we will be able to edit the fstab, because fstab is an OS configuration file. So now again I am doing the same thing what I did. First let me change the mount option to no fail. No fail. Then mount disk data hyphen disk ext for yeah, rest all the things are okay. So I am just going to save the file now. The file got saved. So now if we verify with df-h command, we can see that it is still not mounted back, right? So I am just closing this window because it has to be rebooted. So during the reboot, when it is booting up the Linux operating system, it will check the fstab file, and in the fstab we already told that it have the UUID of the STB device we already provided in the file, and that file which mount point it is getting mounted, that is also we told. So basically we map the UUID of the device to the mount point, so that during each reboot it will understand the UUID and mount path, and it will mount it automatically during the reboot. So let me reboot the machine once. Let us connect back to the machine. I think it's did rebooted. Yeah, so now let me directly type df-h. So we can see that the mount point, it got back to the operating system now. So now we have the mount point back.